Party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home. Party, party, we like to party, party, party all night long. Party, party, we like to party, 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 never go home.
What's up, everyone, and welcome back to episode, I believe, 52 of the Ball Talk Pod. Here to recap the Thunder's massive Game 5 victory at the Paycom Center tonight by the final score of 120-109 to take their first lead in the NBA Finals, 3-2, going back to Indiana on Thursday night with a chance to clinch the first championship in Oklahoma City's history. Chris, I think I know the answer. How are we feeling tonight, man?
My dog ate tonight. He was hungry. He went to that Golden Corral. He got everything. I mean, Jalen Williams played awesome. I feel I'm on top of the world. Like you mentioned right before we started that was the best game you've ever seen. It truly was like a really good basketball game on top of my favorite team winning
Being
the
better
game.
Team. Yeah.
Yeah, winning the game and then going ahead in the series. Like, there's probably some of that context that makes it the best game we've ever seen. But
Yeah, the Pacers fans don't think that, but we do.
yeah. There's a lot of context to that, but I feel on top of the world. It just feels special, that game. So I don't know. Still have to win one more, but I feel really good right now. I don't know. How are you feeling?
I mean, it was the loudest arena I've ever been in. It was one of the most impressive performances I've ever seen by not just a team, but like, as you mentioned, Dub's performance tonight was insane. Like a performance that we'll talk about for 40 plus years. What he did tonight. The team responded. It was the most Thunder-like they've played in this finals.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you could say game 2 kinda, but that always felt like it was going to be a blowout just because of the desperation piece and everything that happened game 1. I guess it just feels even more so like it was the most Thunder game of the season because this was the most important game of the season, and we saw it really across most of the 4 quarters. I mean, there were obviously lulls. You know, they always say it's a game of runs, but what they were able to do tonight to withstand, create a lead, generate the offense and turn defense into offense to create that lead. I think we were up 14 going into halftime. Felt like it should have been 20, which has never been a good feeling in these playoffs, specifically against these Pacers. It gets tight in the second half, especially in the fourth quarter. They cut it to 2, and probably the most important run in Thunder history happened tonight.
We went on, was it 20-6 run in the fourth to like correct it? 4 steals in a row, something crazy like that.
Yeah, I mean, some were forced, some were like the Pacers got a little loose with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, it was 95-93, and the final score was 120-109.
And we slammed the door, completely shut it with those 4 steals. Lou doing it on the defensive end, Kaysen doing it on the defensive end, and Caruso. I thought, and Shea. It's not, I don't feel uncomfortable. I guess I'll just go on to this defensive piece. I don't feel uncomfortable with Shea switching on to Halliburton.
Well, that's a storyline all in itself, is Halliburton. He's not healthy anymore.
But who's healthy?
I mean, even Dub tonight, like he's had a wrist thing all year, but I mean, Dub's the storyline. Dub has to be the storyline, followed by what Shea did. Shea with the 31-point double-double on assists. The third storyline, and none of these have any less importance than the other because obviously it's all a culmination that wins you a basketball game at this level.
Program win.
It was a program win in the manner of this team. Obviously, you're coming back home. You're expecting role players to play better, but Cason Wallace went 3 of 4 from 3 tonight. It was his first time even making a 3 in these finals. Aaron Wiggins was 4 of 7 tonight, had 14 points. Lou Dort had 3 threes. Dub hit 3 threes. I mean, this team went from hitting 3 threes in a miraculous Game 4 win to shooting 14 of 32 for 43%, round up to 44%. And obviously it helps to play at home, but to have that performance where we haven't even really seen that at home a lot of these playoffs, regardless of this series, you like the whole talk is like, how is it showed how great this defense has been because this team hasn't been able to shoot well.
Right.
And you kept waiting for that game where you could merge the two. And you got that tonight. And that's why the Thunder are up 3-2.
Well, yeah, 100%. You talked about it. We're waiting on the Thunder game. And you said this is the most thundery they played. It felt like all season that we would go on these big runs in the third. And Shea just like wouldn't have to play the fourth. But there was plenty of times that like the game would be tight in the third and go into the fourth tight, and then Dub and our fourth quarter lineup would take over the game and push it past the point of return
crunch
for the
time.
other team.
Yeah.
And that's what we saw tonight. And it felt so comforting because it's for the first time. It was like the Pacers aren't going to do that to us. You know what I mean? It gives me confidence as a fan to be like, a 10-point lead is still a 10-point lead in the NBA. It's not, it's not the best lead you can have, but it's still,
especially when one of the best teams of all time statistically has it.
Right.
Like that's a major
best
point.
Defense of all time. Right. But for the voodoo magic that the Pacers were doing, it felt hard to believe in that 10-point lead. It felt difficult to be like comfortable. And I don't want to feel comfortable. It's the NBA Finals, but it felt bad. It didn't feel comfortable, that 10-point lead, until tonight when they showed that they can hold on to a 10-point lead against this team.
So many times we talk about how, like Dub even said it when he was mic'd up game 2, that it was like they're comfortable at 13, they're comfortable at 15, talking about the deficit. And we played a lot of the game at that tonight, and that's why they cut it to 2, because they are comfortable at that.
Right.
And that's why it's like we kept saying like we need to push this to 20, and I'll feel okay.
A part of me was like, maybe that 10 range is not where we need to be. We need to be at like 4 or 5, and then 20 above. So I was like, maybe they're just like they have desperation, but they're not really great in the clutch time or crunch time. But I don't know. That's probably not true.
I mean. Dub at 16 at half. Let's just talk about Dub, man, right now.
Okay. I love talking about Dub. I'm a big Jub fan.
I think you could argue this was the biggest, most important performance by a Thunder player ever in the finals. Now, I know you only have 2 finals series to compare that to, but that's kind of my thought, and I might be a prisoner of the moment, but
people wanted to trade him, get rid of him during the Nuggets series.
A month ago.
And now he has 40 points in the finals.
People even talked about after game 1, because that was a huge storyline why we blew that lead. Chet and Dub were not good in game 1 this series. And
I get
what
that,
he's done.
Like, have faith and confidence in the guy who's done it all season for you.
Because everyone was like, oh, we could trade him and a couple picks for Giannis.
I don't want Giannis.
I'm going to be honest. I don't know if Presti takes Giannis for Dub straight up at this point with how versatile. I mean, we don't have to get into like what makes him a great player. Most people already know that, but his scoring versatility, he can set the table for everyone around him. He's the most versatile defender. I mean, I know you have Caruso and Dub, or Caruso, Kaysen and Dort, but in terms of guarding 1 through 5, Dub is your most versatile defender, bar none. He made third team All-NBA.
He's also in his 3rd year. It's just crazy to me, have a sense of the moment, have a sense of like how like everything going around, the context. He is gonna be a perennial all-star with the performances like this. It's and people are talking crazy. Don't come to me talking like that. I'll smack you.
Brian Windhorst said today on their ESPN's pregame, I don't know what it was, just their pregame show or earlier today, that a lot of people around the league have like messaged him, and he's talked to others, that Jalen Williams is set up to have a very Scottie Pippen-like career where it makes multiple all defense teams. He makes all NBA when the chips align. And if he could make even more all NBA teams if he plays like this.
Right.
But to have that as a 24-year-old third-year players should not be performing like this in the NBA Finals. And I understand that we're talking about this finals in general, or specifically, and obviously the big takeaway is the Thunder do have to win one more game. They did not win a championship tonight.
Right.
You said it. He's 24. It's his third year. Like he is nowhere near a finished product. There's so many things even he would tell you that he can get better at. I think he's going to grow as a shooter over the course of his career. I think he's going to shoot better. I think his shot diet, as Mark calls it, will be much more diverse. And that's one of the things that's taken Shai from star to superstar is hunting the right shots at the right time to hunt the threes when you're supposed to. But then also that mid-range is open, during this stretch with how they're playing you on defense. Like, Dub is still learning to do that. He has a great teacher in that, and Shai, and obviously everyone around him in the Thunder organization. But Mark said it on the postgame show. It's like they don't develop players to be like, they didn't pick these players and say, okay, Shai, you're going to be number one. You're going to be the superstar. We need to decide between Dub and Chet who's going to be the second best player on the team.
I did hear that, Mark. Yeah, keep going. Sorry, I'll say something after.
Well, it was like, I mean, obviously everyone should do this because it's working. But he's like, we don't develop players to fit into a pecking order. We develop players to help them reach their ceiling and be the best possible basketball player. And he was like, we do that for Dub. We do that for Chet. We do that for Caruso at 31 or in Kenrich, at 30 plus years old on technically probably the back half of their NBA careers. That's just the Thunder logic. And so they're not going to put a cap on Dub. And it's what he did tonight will be remembered forever in the 405.
And then that hierarchy develops just in the team. Who's going to take the last shot, right? It just develops, and it probably develops over a game. You would like to think that if the hot hand between those two probably gets the shot at the end of the game, but that's beside.
But that's what Mark's done a lot of, let's ride the hot hand. Like if Dubs has it going, he'll bring Shai out in the third quarter, like during the regular season. It's changed. We'll talk about rotations here in a little bit, but they've even set up in their game-to-game execution, like, hey, no, Dub's feeling it. Let's not take him out. Shai, you're going to come out. And Shai's fine with that. That's the magic of this team. But what were you thinking about?
I just was thinking, Mark was so polite. Obviously, you haven't watched us or listened to me all year. He was like, with all due respect, we don't do that. He was just like,
he's like, there's a lot of people that aren't here.
This is not what we do here. Maybe if you actually, put our games on national TV, you will learn something about this team.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, his final stat line was 40 points, 6 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, no blocks, 9 of 12 from the free throw line. A couple of them in the fourth quarter, you could tell it was like, this dude's gassed, man.
Yes.
And I was so glad he got 40 because I hate those stat lines that are like, he had 39 points. It's like, just get one more. It's so much cooler. But Shai, I think Shai played a phenomenal game. His process and how he's seeing what the Pacers are throwing at him. Each game, you can see him chip away at what they're doing and figuring out different creases and gaps that he can attack.
It seems like he's finding these gaps, but I think and this could be from my personal viewpoint, which it is, obviously, I feel like the Pacers have kind of gotten gassed guarding Shai. It felt like in the third game 3, it felt like Shai was a little gassed at the end of the game. It felt like tonight, Nembhard was a little gassed guarding Shai.
Well, even earlier, I felt like they were not picking up full court as hard.
Right, I agree.
And not just in the fourth, kind of throughout the game. And so the biggest thing in game 3 and 4 was we're starting our offense at the 16-second mark in the shot clock, which is the max amount of time you have to get it across half court before an 8-second call. And it felt like we were much better about and not even having to try, but they weren't pressuring us to that level.
As
and
much as we were
generating starting offense at 20 seconds or 18 seconds, which is a big difference when you're trying to run a full set. But he was phenomenal. I think it was interesting how they staggered minutes. Shai came out Shai technically did throughout his entire time as the guy in Oklahoma City. He always has played the whole first quarter. I say always. There's certain situations, and
Like
this is why it worked now. They try to they want their guys to feel uncomfortable so that they can stay in rhythm when they do have to make these adjustments, as we've seen throughout these finals and throughout the playoffs. But Shea did not play a whole quarter this tonight in this game. Like usually he plays the whole first, comes back in the regular season. It's like 4 or 5 minutes left in the second quarter. Usually plays the whole third and then comes back in 6 to 8 minutes, give or take, depending on
the score.
Yeah, a lot of context there. But he came out in the first quarter, and there wasn't like any quarter that he went out for the rest of it. Like he always would go out with 6 to 8 minutes left, and then he'd come back by the end of the quarter to close it.
Yeah, it felt like I like that rotation because it felt like we wanted a steady hand at the start of each quarter, and then we wanted, the middle
closer
of the quarter is a little bit of everyone's kind of doing everything, and it can go either way, and then you have your closer in to calm things down before you start the next quarter. I thought it was a brilliant substitution strategy that I think it's the first time they've done that this year.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. I mean, when looking at the minutes too, when thinking about I remember we were watching, back in the Minnesota series, I watched I think it was the clincher in 2012 against San Antonio when we went to the finals, and Kevin Durant played all 48 minutes of that game.
Crazy.
You can't do that in today's NBA.
Because they're picking you up 94 feet from the basket.
No, it's so much faster. It's a much quicker pace. You're getting more shots up. There's not as much of that. Okay, let's dribble up. We're going to let Kevin look at it until there's 10 seconds left, and then he's going to go score. It's up and down the whole time. That can't happen anymore. But I was looking at the box score when we got in the studio, and it was Shea played 37 minutes, technically 38, 37-57. Dub played 35, Chet 33, but none of these guys played 40 minutes tonight, which when you're about to go on the road Thursday night in Indiana, and it's the biggest game in it's funny. It'll be the third straight game that's the biggest game in Thunder history.
It's just always the next one.
Hey, we're stacking days, as they say.
Yeah.
And all these guys were able to, they played the whole fourth. Like Indiana called off the Dogs with 2 minutes left, I think, or a minute 50, something like that. We did not sub. We did not take him out. Yeah. So it's not like we blew him out and we sat for the last 6 minutes. It's no, Mark managed the rotations tonight in a way that Caruso played 29 minutes. Dort played 32. Hartenstein played 20. I love what he's doing with Chet and Hartenstein, because there were so many games where Hartenstein was playing 15 to 18 minutes to start this series. And obviously that did not work, especially in game 3 specifically, because of what he does. Bill Simmons said on his podcast today that he felt like he's declined as the playoffs have gone along. And I don't really agree with that.
I think it's been harder because he's such a guy, and Bill Simmons is the guy who talks about it all the time and watches a lot more, but it feels like it's just harder for him to be impactful with them picking up so far down the court, because he's a lot of I'm going to hold this ball. I'm going to set a good screen. I'm going to, I'm going to make a good assist. And he was so good at that during the regular season. But now with them picking up and 94 feet from the basket, do you think that has thrown off his ability to, be in his most comfortable spot at the free throw line extended? Because now he's setting the screen up towards, the jump
half
area.
Court. Yeah. I don't know. I just think even it doesn't need to be double big, and he's sprinkling in a little bit. But Hartenstein and Chet, their minutes distribution feels much more natural. It just feels like the flow is better, the rotations are better. Let's get back to the actual game. What was, you were texting me about it, and I understand it wasn't the best mindset. Pacers hit a 3 after an offensive rebound to cut it to 95-93. Are you confident in that moment? Are you immediately thinking the Pacers are going to win this? Like what? Where was your brain at?
So I know I texted you earlier. It wasn't. We were down or we were up.
I think we were up 4,
like 6 or 8 or something. Maybe it was 4. I'm not totally sure. I said I can feel it slipping. I could feel it slipping. And then they go and they cut it to 2 points pretty quick after that. And then I wasn't feeling like this is going to be a loss, right? I was feeling like it's going to be harder than it should have been.
Like this is going to come down to the wire.
Right. I was thinking more like we're going to have to make a lot of plays in the clutch, so it's going to be a little more stressful. I never thought we were going to lose. I never had that. It just felt like the comfortable lead was slipping. And then like we mentioned, they get 4 steals in a row. They go on a 20-6 run. They look like the Thunder of 2024, in December.
I mean,
so that's how I was feeling.
That moment, like they cut it to 2 and the entire building was like, oh my gosh, here we go again. Like, here we go again. And Halliburton's even hurt. We haven't touched on that too much yet.
Well, I'd like to talk about their guys. Yeah.
But you have, I think out of that timeout, we just watched at least I watched the highlights before we hopped on here.
Same.
Shea kicks it to Dub for Dub's biggest 3 of his life, cashes it. Everything that happened tonight, I was like, this is the
Everything's the biggest.
Yeah.
It's like
cashes the 3. Then you're like, it was another turnover where it was like, okay, the Pacers, it was kind of unforced, but it was just because you were playing like pressure defense a little bit. And Nembhard, who's been just a savior for this team throughout not just this playoffs, but last playoffs too. Like, he's going to make so much money off of these playoff runs, and he already has. But throws it like a miscommunication with Halliburton and throws it past him. Kaysen runs out, dunk. I mean, it goes from if Dub misses that 3, they can take a lead to you've pushed it back up to 7. And it was never closer than that the rest of the way.
Right.
Because I always, obviously it's kind of obvious, but whenever you're mounting these big comebacks in the NBA or sports, I think it's more so in the NBA than like football or anything like that. In basketball, because of the number of possessions, you have to find a way to take a lead. Like, you can't tie it. You can't cut it to 2. I mean, I say this, the Pacers did it in game 1, but it feels like, to me, to put the true amount of pressure on the other team, you might still lose the game, but you have to find a way to take a lead. Like, that was why it was massive in the comeback in game 4. Shea hits that jump shot to go up 1, and the building deflates, and the other team deflates. And that was what was so massive about that run. You never allowed the Pacers to have the ball literally in the second half with a chance to take the lead. And that's what the championship teams do. And that's what we saw tonight. We saw that Thunder Avalanche, as you mentioned, and it was the biggest stretch in Thunder basketball history to date. Just insane.
I'd like to petition to change the name of a Thunder Avalanche in your vocabulary.
To what?
Because when you think about the Thunder, you think of a thunderstorm. Why not a tornado? Why not
Thundernator?
Yeah, why not like
shout out Nader?
a straight line windstorm? Those are damaging.
A cold front,
a big old cold front. Yeah, I mean, we are named after a storm. Or a storm element. You could probably find something more aligned than an avalanche. I'm just spitballing,
Yeah, we got to get with the National Weather Center to get like the official whatever that might be weather-wise for
leave
what
a comment, tweet Ben, tell him that he shouldn't use avalanche anymore. It should be something like lightning strike.
Maybe that's it. You never know.
Oh, maybe it's a lightning strike.
Let's talk Pacers, and I just pulled up the box score for them, and the first thing that jumped out to me was, holy cow! I did not realize Siakam had 28 points.
Siakam was awesome today. We talked about it briefly, but he had 6 rebounds, 5 assists, 3 steals, 2 blocks. But he had those like 6 costly turnovers. I felt like that. I will say finally the Thunder did what they've done all season and just blew teams out of the water with the points they've conceded out on turnovers. The Pacers conceded 32 points off their 23 turnovers, and we only conceded 9 points on our 11 turnovers. So finally,
I'm at 22, but yeah, I mean, it's still impressive regardless.
Right. And so, those turnovers were very costly for this Pacers team. But I thought he was really good. He's been their best player all series.
I mean, he won Eastern Conference MVP, and everyone wants it to be Halliburton because he's the point guard and he hit the big shots and all this stuff. But like so many national people have tweeted out throughout this series and even in their previews, especially as this series has gotten tighter and people have realized, including us, that this is not going to be a cakewalk. Like the Pacers like earned everyone's respect through this series, and they're still in it. Bottom line,
right
there. The series was going to come down to Siakam's performance versus like Chet and Dubs. Like which second player is going to rise up, and I think I know what you're going to say.
But I feel like it's sort of like Siakam's the first. Like we've talked about, the Thunder don't have that hierarchy, but it feels like Siakam is like that first guy right now. I mean, you see Tyrese Halliburton getting 4 points. He had 6
0
assists,
field goals.
Yeah, he got all 4 of his points on free throws.
Feels in the second half. It was his first time being scoreless in a half, I believe, in his career, and for sure his first time held without a field goal in the playoffs in his career.
Mm-hmm. And so you start to wonder, is it like, if Tyrese Halliburton plays well, it's sort of like, can J-Dub match that? Can Chet match that? Instead of, Pascal Siakam, where the national media wants it to be Tyrese Halliburton. But, you see those guys like Pascal Siakam was 3 of 6 from 3-point line. Aaron Nesmith finally had a good shooting game, and he was 4 of 5 after fouling out the last 2 games.
I think he tweaked his ankle tonight again.
You do?
Yeah, there was one time, it was on like a screen on the side that we sit on. And he I don't know if he was trying to sell it, but he definitely went down and immediately grabbed his right ankle, which he hurt in the Knicks series. And
really?
He popped back up and kept playing on it. But I mean, like we say, everyone's a little nicked up right now, but it'll be interesting. I mean, he'll play on Thursday. So will Halliburton.
Yeah. But then you have guys like Obi Toppin finally shot 1 of 5. Tyrese Halliburton.
Thank God. Every time he shoots it, I think it's going in.
I know, me too. But you could say that for all of them.
That's fair.
You don't have guys like Thomas Bryant hitting a 3 or TJ McConnell going ballistic.
Miles Turner didn't bank in a 3 tonight. Lou Dort did. As soon as Dort banked in a 3 early in the third quarter, and I was like, okay, we cannot lose a game if Lou Dort banked in a 3, because it's karma for the Miles Turner 3 in game 1.
So that at that point you felt like, okay, because they shot, like, I'll read the last couple games. They shot 36% from 3, 11 of 30 today. Last game they shot 30%, 11 of 36. The game before that they shot 9 of 27, 33% in game 3. In game 2 they shot 35%, 14 of 40. And
game 1 was insane. It was like 46%.
46%, 18 of 36. So they've
that was insane.
Declined. They shot well. I'm saying it's a trend. I'm not saying it's going to hold, because I'm sure they'll have a good shooting game at home. I'm sure their bench
But here's
players
the deal. Statistically, throughout the playoffs, they've shot better on the road. Like, I'm not making this like they have statistics. Like, I don't have it in front of me, but they have shot better on the road than they have at home.
But it's just okay. I like that trend that they have, but I'm just saying they've gone down, and it could be credit to the Thunder's defense, and then you could think about the level of effort they're putting on the defensive end to like guard Shea, to guard Dub. So their 3-point trend is going down, and it's something that we talked about in the preview, how that had to be something that went really well for them. Obviously, they've won games where they haven't shot well, but it's
to win 4 games. They needed
to go off from 3, and you have guys like Aaron Nesmith shooting 4 or 5 and being like nuclear, but it's just not.
Siakam at 50%. Miles Turner hit a 3 tonight. He's one that I think, if you ask Pacer fans, he's probably had the most disappointing finals in terms of the Pacers players.
He's been a little invisible at times.
Yeah. He was like pissed tonight. There were a couple times people were trying to get him teed up because he was whining, going back to the bench. But I don't know. The Pacers, like, they don't die. Like, that was the thing that just was like,
you're never going to blow out this team.
Like, obviously we said, that we cut it to 2, or they cut it to 2. Even like so many times it was like, you're envisioning all the Thunder runs that we saw this year. And it would happen whenever we would already use our defense to generate a 12 to 15 point lead, and the other team would go cold from 3. Mm-hmm. And you'd see 2 or 3 possessions in a row where they brick a 3, we get a long rebound, run out the other way, get another steal. Those shots, the Pacers do not miss them. Like, so many times we had it at 12, we had it at 15, and we're like, get a stop and a score, and you can really put that knife in and start twisting it. And it wouldn't even be on the first look. It'd be on an offensive rebound that they kick it out and Neesmith's in the corner, because the best shot behind the 3-point line in basketball is off an offensive rebound. And they find those all the time. It's obviously energy and effort. They play with that better than pretty much anybody, or at least as good as anybody in the league. And then they have timely shooting, and it's why they've made it into these finals. But just so many times tonight, it felt, it's why this game never felt put away until like about 4 or 5 minutes left after we went on, like started going on that run, and Dub took over again, and Shea was hitting. There's a couple times in all these big games, I can tell how it's going to go if Shea is getting to a spot and hitting his jumper. Like, so many times it's like, if there's 2 possessions in a row where Shea can rise up over somebody, like a couple times he would get to the free throw line and he'd be dribbling, and you can tell he's just like waiting for the guy to fake one way or to bite it at one little shoulder thing. And the second he does it, he spins over the other shoulder. And I mean, he's the best mid-range shooter in basketball right now. When he's generating that offense, and it's why we talk about so many times the Thunder don't have a lot of crunch time numbers, because when he's doing that with 5 to 7 minutes left and he's already in the flow, you're not stopping that. Like, he's too good at that time. And then the other thing that I think really calmed my nerves, Dort hit 3s late, and I feel like every big game that the Thunder have won since Dort became a member of the Oklahoma City Thunder, there's like a corner Lou Dort 3 that just like seals the game. It almost hits the top of the Paycom Center. There was a no like the what's the like the airplane.
Use your words.
I'm trying.
Use your words. Drone.
Whatever. No. Like the entity that like controls air traffic. I guess air traffic control, like the airspace above.
Yeah. I actually don't know. I don't think
I almost said FDA too, and that's not it.
FFA.
But regardless, that's also not it.
That is the future farmers of America.
Yeah. Yeah. We're crushing this.
You know what? You don't come here to talk
aviation
about
talk.
The agencies of the government.
But they put out today that I think it was because they were like flying stuff above, and ESPN was doing a lot more with the broadcasts and things like that. But they put out something that was like, there's a no-fly zone above Paycom from like 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. until 11:59, and somebody tweeted out, so no one's at risk of getting hit by a Lou Dort 3.
That's pretty funny.
So that was a long way to say a funny line that I saw on Twitter with the just sounding dumb about being able to talk about airspace. But I mean, one thing I want to point out before we talk about Thursday, how we're feeling about that. Looking at the box score, and one of the things that I'm like, dang, I actually feel like even better looking at this. We shot 42% from the field, 43% from 3. Obviously, Dub wasn't phenomenal. Shea was not even his most efficient self, but still Shea. You had Kaysen shoot a great percentage. Chet was 4 of 15. Caruso was 1 of 8.
Right.
Like you still have these players that we've even seen over the course of these playoffs and specifically the finals, especially for Caruso, deliver in these moments. Like so many times Caruso had a three that would
he had
rim
a lot
in
of
and
like
out.
layups that he just could not hit. Him and
Yeah.
Chet, I felt like were getting.
He
to the
tried to
rim
put
and-
Miles Turner on a poster in the first quarter, and I honestly
Yeah.
was there for it. I was
I was
100% behind it. But you have a Kaysen game, you had a Wiggins game, obviously you had a Dub game, but they always talk about like when they call it like the Kaysen game, it's always a bench player. It's never like tonight really is the Jalen Williams game, but like game 2, that was the Aaron Wiggins game. He had 18 points that night. Like it's someone that you do not see this from typically. And to have the performance from your bench that you did tonight with Caruso not shooting well, obviously you still got a lot of the benefits of what he brings to the table. Chet not having a great shooting game. He was very inefficient. He was phenomenal. We haven't even talked about him, but 4 of 15 shooting, but 11 rebounds, 3 blocks, and a steal.
He was
like,
defensively a monster.
There's no chance this dude broke his hip less than what, 6 months ago.
It's crazy.
Like
It's just, I was thinking about it on the way out. It's just like this team, like you had a guy break his hip, a 22-year-old.
He was 22 at the time.
He breaks
First
his
time
hip.
in the NBA history that a player broke his hip during a game.
And then your team goes and takes a 3-2 lead in the finals with him being your anchor on defense. He is so tough. He is so into it. He is the guy I love to see on the court because I know that he is like going to give it all. And it may not be pretty when he dribbles the ball. It may not.
He'll work on that.
It
Still
may
young.
not look good
Hopefully.
at the rim yet. But those are things that guys work on relentlessly throughout their career. He's 22 years old. He's like we talked
Well,
about.
he
with
looked
Jalen
really
Williams.
good in it in those first 10 games. Obviously, it's regular season. You don't know. But then obviously all that time where he literally couldn't even stand.
Mm-hmm.
Like you'd love to see him, how he looks after an offseason, which I want to see how he looks game 6 on Thursday first.
Sure.
But I thought he was phenomenal. And then, but like this team had 12 steals, or excuse me, 15 steals and 12 blocks. And I don't know the history of like the last time that happened or any time a team is combined for that. It was a phenomenal defensive effort. The Pacers were out of sorts. It was so great to see us on the offensive instead
Right.
of like having to make adjustments to what they're doing. Like you could tell they were scrambling to find anything, and they found a little bit in the fourth quarter and it was really the third quarter. And Mr. TJ McConnell, who I'm shocked I haven't brought him up yet. I mean, he had 18
I'm shocked. I
points
can't
tonight.
believe they don't play him more. 22 minutes, and I don't know what it is. Nobody on our team can guard him.
No,
For some reason, he gets to the bucket every time, and I don't know why you're not running your offense through TJ McConnell.
well they did, and that's why they came back.
I know.
And-
that's what I'm
and-
saying.
and the
why aren't you
biggest-
doing that all games?
The
Start
key to
him.
that is Halliburton was not well. And so do
Right.
you see like he's going to play on Thursday? Like so Shams came out at halftime and said that he's dealing with right calf tightness. So he's going to play like but only because it's the NBA finals and Carlisle in his post game said like I don't think he's at risk for not playing on Thursday. But against this defense, if you're even a little off, it gets to a point, depending on how bad it gets, it could be more detrimental than good to the cause if you're not able to
And he
be
sat
a
for
threat.
long stretches, it felt like.
long important stretches. Like he left with 2.5 minutes left in the second quarter and came back in with like a minute left. Like
Mhm.
he will be a fascinating storyline on Thursday. All that to say, depending on how he is feeling, will I think determine a lot of how much TJ McConnell we see on Thursday. They should
Back
play him
against the wall.
regardless, but
I think they need to play him 30 minutes.
I think they should play him 48. Really tire him out. And every single time he scores, I'm like, the dude's 5'4". Why is he scoring?
Is he?
And
He's not 5'4".
TJ McConnell is not 5'4". He is 6'1", but he looks 5'4" out there to me. But I mean, man, just an all-time game. I mean, my buddy Alex and I, we always talk about like we were at like 2016 Game 3 where Draymond kicked Steven Adams in the groin and we won that game by like 30. We were at the 25-point comeback when Russ and PG were here the first year against Utah. And we like have like this, like every once in a while we'll just chat about what's the pecking order of games we've been to. And I ran into him walking out, and it was like, this was far and away number one. Far and away. The atmosphere,
far and away,
the performance, it was
loud.
Just a phenomenal basketball game to watch.
It was really loud.
Phenomenal. Yeah, wrapping up real quick. How do you feel for Thursday? Do you like the chances?
I like our chances at any point. I think this team has given us a reason to never doubt them,
to believe.
You believe, like, I remember one time, 2 years ago, maybe last year, we put up a sign like they did in Ted Lasso, and they came back from like a 13-point deficit. It's just like this team makes you believe. So I have faith and I have belief. Will I be stressed during the game? Of course.
It'll be the most stressful watch of all time.
I want to come back to Paycom. I'd like to finish it in Indiana.
I think both of us agree. We hope we don't have to go back to Paycom again for a game this season.
Until we see him next season. Yeah. Maybe a preseason game.
Yeah.
But they're gonna get their best shot. Yeah, they're gonna throw their best punch for sure.
I see it going two ways. It being just incredibly tight and it's a toss-up, or the Pacers almost have like an overly desperate, like,
I mean, they've never been down in a series this year.
It's the first time they've lost back-to-back games in 99 days.
Yeah,
like they had never been in a 2-2 series, let alone down 3-2. They've never been on the brink of elimination, but I could see it either being super tight or they are super tight, and the Thunder stay in a flow. The hope is they found something. I think I'm kind of talking myself into believing this.
Talk me into it. Give it to me. Give it to me. Talk me into it.
My best case scenario is the Pacers get really tight and the Thunder have found something tonight that they take to Game 6. Dub drops 45. Whatever it might 30, be. Yeah.
Shea doesn't play.
Shea drops Chet drops a quadruple double with blocks. I mean, the possibilities are limitless. But I don't care how. Find a way to win Game 6. I think it'd be so cool. And if you think about it, you won the first series in 4. You won the second series in 7. The third series in 5. The only number we have not won a series in yet.
Wow. That'd be pretty sweet. 6. That'd be really sweet.
It's preferable.
I prefer that for sure.
But yeah. With that, we will wrap it up. The Thunder have taken a 3-2 lead. Your Oklahoma City Thunder are 1 game away from becoming NBA champions.
We've won 15. We got to win that 16th.
And they say it's the hardest one to get, but man, I trust the boys, man. I trust the boys.
We have two chances to get it.
And we'll be back Thursday, potentially for the last time recapping a playoff game, but regardless, we will be back Thursday recapping Game 6, 7:30 start time. Thunder win. They're up 3-2 in the finals. It's a great time to be alive. Enjoy it. Appreciate everybody for listening. Don't forget to follow, leave a 5-star review, whatever you want to do. Tell a friend to tell a friend. But appreciate everybody for listening. We'll talk to you again on Thursday. See ya.
Bye.
All night long. Party, party. We like to party, party, party. All night long. Party, party. We like to party, party, party. Never go home. Party, party. We like to party, party, party. All night long.